What it also does in this mode as well, or also to point out, is the only memory that it will save on this is whether it is in normal mode or whether it is in your strobe mode. So if I put this onto strobe mode now and then turn it off, when I turn it back on again, it'll turn it back into strobe mode. Turn it off, you know, and it's back into strobe mode until I press on the function button, and then it will put it back into a normal mode. You do get a bit of heat from it, you know, I've been using it on and off there, but as far as heat is concerned, I think this flashlight is very good at dissipating the heat. You have some channels here on each side that are kind of used as a heat sink, which it does it very well. On the front you have the CREE LED in there. It's a single CREE XPL2 version 2 LED, and there is some scratch resistant coating on the oh I moved it then. There is some scratch resistant coating on the lens as well. It doesn't have any sort of slider on there so that you can fine-tune where that cone opens out or closes, but I think for this it's actually fine without that. So if I want to put it back into daily mode, keep my finger down on the mode button or the function button, turn it on, and then eventually you'll see in a minute that it will flash and it will go back. There you go, if you can see there. Turn it off. And what it actually first does is when you've done that, to prove that it has been done, the flashlight turns on. It's just a feature to show that it's acknowledged that that's worked, rather than you thinking, oh, did that work or not. Hopefully, as you can see now, if I put that down into mid, turn it off, turn it back on again, it's in mid as well, and stays in that. Some of the other things that you get in the box as well, just to finish off, you get the usual, you know, there's a lanyard in there, there is a few O-rings, there is an extra tail cap button, just in case, you know, having used this a lot, these do wear down, and what Nitecore have been good enough is they've been able to put an extra one of those in there just for longevity. And you also get a pocket clip. Now, a lot of the other attachments that you can get for these sort of tactical lights, I know I've mentioned it does come with this holster, but if you choose to use one of the night light rings as well, that you put your finger in so that you can pull it out and get a better grip, it also fits this and fits snugly. I've not tested it myself, but I've seen in a few other reviews that they work as well. Now this holster is one of the things that I've really appreciated about this light, purely because when it's in there and it's locked tight. It has two depressions on each side, and then on the flashlight you've got a little bit of knurling here, and then it flares out just a little bit. You've got a almost like a hex bolt around it, and when that's in there, it locks in tight. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll notice that I've been testing this out a lot on these bags here, and I've had it in a few different setups. I've had it so that it's vertical and you can pull it out at the bottom, or I suppose that would be the opposite way, I guess. I don't know whichever. But then I've also had it this way. I've also had it like this on a few waist packs that I've been using, and it's very easy to pull it out, but also when it's in there, it's nice and secure. I've done shake tests on this on carpet because I'd hate to drop it, but it works really well. What I've realized that I've left inside is these 4 notches here. These notches, you get extra little, I suppose, little grommets that you can pass through here. So if you only have a 1-inch belt, you can put those in to make sure that it doesn't slide on your belt. Or if you have a setup maybe where you've got some links in some traditional molly, you can put it in between those, and again that stops it from sliding around as well. I think this has actually been very, very well thought out. I often ask if there's anything that I'd change, and I suppose this is a good point to say no. The flashlight, absolutely nothing that I would change about this flashlight. I genuinely think that this is a very, very, very good flashlight. If I was to be super picky, and this really is picky, this is stupid picky, all that I'd do is, you know how sometimes you can have these where it just has an extra little bit that comes down to lock it in there. All I would do is to see if there was any way that you could get this to retain within this here. I don't think I have any worries that this would come out, but I've not been running, I've not been, you know, I'm not a police officer, so I've not been any tussles with this, that it's been knocked around a lot. But if it was to come open to slip out, I think if there was any sort of way that you could just push something in to then be able to release that, to them to be able to take it off, then that would be great. Nitecore, if you're watching, if you could do that, you don't even have to change this. It might just be something that you adapt on this to do that. But again, I'm being super picky there. I genuinely think, as far as flashlights go, that this is an amazing flashlight. So one of the main feedbacks that I got from my friend that's in the police force is mainly around this holster. The flashlight itself, he said, is brilliant. So he said being able to use the tail cap is great. The extended length that you get, being able to hold it up, keeps it a little bit further away from your eyes so that you don't get dazzled by that if you are moving it around. Having something not necessarily for him to be able to strike with, but knowing that if it fell down, it wouldn't, you know, there's often times when he has to wrestle somebody to the ground, it's not going to land on the glass at the end. Or if it did land end down, especially because it has this tactical bezel with the 3 ridges on there, even if there are small stones or chippings on the floor, they're not going to get in contact with that crystal at the front to break it. So he says the length's just perfect. But mainly with the length, when you're wearing gloves in the winter, he's noticed that now it's getting colder and he's starting to wear more gloves. Having that extra length here to be able to get some purchase whilst pulling it out is a massive help. The torch that he uses, or the flashlight uses at the moment, I forget which one it was, it's one of the Olight ones, which he says is very good, but it's just maybe so, say, 3 centimeters shorter than this one, so when he's trying to get it, it's a little bit tricky to get it. It fits perfectly in his hand and he can get that tail cap button. He said, but trying to get it quickly out of something when he needs to is a little bit of a fumble. So having something that's just that extra length would work perfectly as well. He did also mention that the length of this would work perfectly, and you'll have to apologise me if I say this wrong. Is it called a Kubaton or Kubaton, or however it's pronounced? There's certain restraints that, you know, again, whether you're skilled in how to use these, but with a flashlight this length, it works perfectly for some of those restraints, whether they're used or not. He doesn't personally use them. He uses other techniques. But however, he does know people that would find this perfect for those lengths. But mainly, it's a small holster that he's found that has been brilliant, and not necessarily a lifesaver, but being able to have this, whether it's on his chest and he can pull it up. He actually found that having it face down was a lot easier to pull out, or whether he's had it on his belt. So being able to change whichever way you want to put this, he's used it in instances where it's been like that, so he can pull it out and then be able to get it up to eye height if it's needed to be able to find people. Also, the fact that you have the daytime mode and you have the tactical mode, a lot of torches, because they have that memory on there, it will always bring up whichever mode you were in last. Whereas with the tactical mode on this, not having to worry about whichever mode or whichever intensity of light there was before, to be able to pull this up knowing that it's always going to be in its high mode, has also worked for him as well whilst he's been out using this flashlight as well. He's definitely interested in this. He's actually got a link from me so he can get one of these, and he's said that it's definitely a step up over the one that he had. He actually really enjoyed the one that he had, and he didn't realise that these features were features that he's missing. But I think it's one of those things where you don't generally know until you've tried something else, and hopefully this is the style of review that will help you to make that opinion as to whether this would suit you over whichever flashlight you're currently using. So whether you're in the police, whether you work security, I think even if you're in the forces as well, to be able to have something on a chest setup, or even no, I dropped it then, that'd have been bad, or even on a belt setup, to be able to easily deploy and use a light like this.